Yeah, so I just couldn't believe it. Here I was trying to be so healthy, and I thought, well, healthier, more is better, more. That was not the case. A stemless wine glass that had, I don't know, probably 8 ounces of water in it, and I had a half of a lemon. And so I just squeezed the lemon juice into the water and drank it. Quite a bit of lemon. And immediately I knew something was wrong. My entire throat, from like right here all the way down to my chest, was red. And I walked from the kitchen into the living room and sat down, and I was just scratching. It was an itch I couldn't scratch. It felt like it was under the skin, and I was inside my mouth was a little itchy, and I noticed my heart had started, my heartbeat, it felt like my heart was racing, my ears were ringing, I was really flushed, and my whole body, I just, like right around my lips, it was kind of tingling. I had shortness of breath, thinking, I had to tell myself, okay, I'm breathing, I can breathe, I can take a deep breath, but it was this shortness of breath and tight. It was so uncomfortable. And I took a Benadryl, didn't help, didn't do anything, didn't make me sleepy, it just didn't feel like it worked very much. And at first, like I said, I didn't even realize, I didn't associate ingesting something that I was sensitive to. And then obviously by the time I took the Benadryl, Dale was like, well, you've tried that. And I did not sleep well because I was concerned that I kept waking up, thinking, am I breathing? How am I okay? So that, and then even 12 hours later, I took another Benadryl because I was still feeling really off. I felt just bad. And then I remembered, a couple of things that I had tasted the chili, and it had pumpkin in it. And, so I Googled nightshades and chili and, pumpkin to see what level of histamine they had, because I already had an idea that I was kind of histamine sensitive, just for a couple of reasons. And then I looked up lemon to see about its histamine, if it was high in histamines or whatever. And it doesn't have a high histamine, but it's considered a histamine liberator. And I think what happened was my histamine bucket was already so full when I did ingest the lemon water, it just pushed me over. So once I pinpointed that it was the lemon, coupled with some other things, then I started, looking into elimination diets. And I already knew a couple of people from listening to Joe Rogan Experience that did these, that had done these elimination diets for different reasons. And I looked at a couple Instagram accounts that I follow that, pointed me in that direction. And I was like, well, I'm going to try, at first I was like, I'm going to just try meat only and just, do lion diet for a month, for 30 days. Well, actually, I think the first thing I thought was 2 weeks. I'm going to do this for 2 weeks. And that was at the middle of January. And as I started doing it day after day, because I just would take it one day at a time, because I thought at the time when I started, I thought I can't do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to just, do the lion diet, meat only diet for the rest of my life. I thought, let me just get through this day. Let me get through this day. And I just need to feel better. I just needed the itching to stop, all of my symptoms. So I listened to Michaela Peterson when she was a guest on Joe Rogan Experience a few years ago. And I thought, I have some of these issues. I have a few autoimmune issues that are in remission for different reasons. I have always had some underlying issue of, I just get these weird viral things. I've had meningitis. I've had uveitis. They could never determine what the root cause was. And I had every single blood test And I was going to an eye specialist, and, and I've had 2 instances of uveitis. So I just thought, let me try this elimination diet. I can do this for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I was feeling better and I was losing weight, and my inflammation was starting to go down, and the itching, I was having still having some itching. And anyway, so it was working. And I thought, well, I'll do this for 30 days. Okay, future me. So now move forward, and I'm on day 88, and I've made it this far. So now my next step in this phase is to do a reintroduction, and I'm going to start really slowly and start with bacon. I'm going to start to reintroduce, and I have a whole program and protocol that I'm going to follow so I can slowly reintroduce foods. And then I feel like after a reintroduction phase, depending on how my results, my hope is that I can do more of a ketovore type eating lifestyle, because I do enjoy like heavy cream and cheese. I don't love fruit at all. I'm one of the few people, I just don't like fruit of any kind. But I'm going to try it, just going to try it, see what happens. So, stick around and see how that next fit. So I hope you stick around and follow me out. So I hope you'll stick around for that. Bye.